the sky, would I grow wings? If I were trapped underwater, would I learn how to breathe? If I fell from the sky.
Well, welcome back to Centered Students. We are focusing this month on the story of Isaac and the book of Genesis. And today we're talking about Isaac's family, the generations that were blessed from Abraham down. And Isaac, obviously, is the son of Abraham. And we're really kind of looking at how God moved through Isaac to kind of change his perspective on how he dealt with a potential problem. So we know that Abraham married Sarah, and they were old in age, and they were unable to have children. And so later, where they were really old, God blessed them with their son Isaac. Well, Abraham tried to take matters into his own hands and connected with Hagar and had a child. And that wasn't God's plan. And we see that played out in how Isaac, we see, becomes blessed, and how the lineage of God's people comes down through Abraham, through Isaac, and then through Jacob and Esau. And so when it's time for Isaac to find a wife, he connects with Rebekah. And lo and behold, they have the same problem. She's unable to bear children as well. And so he does not step out of God's plan. He stays in God's plan. And later in life, not quite as old as Abraham and Sarah, but later in life, they are blessed with twins. And that is Jacob and Esau. And so the big truth in this is that there's something called generational sin, right? It's sin that we see in our parents. I can point out stuff I could see in my grandfather and my dad, and then I see in me. But the big truth in this is if we can follow the Holy Spirit in dealing with the things that we struggle with, that those generational curses are broken. And we saw that in the difference of how Abraham dealt with this issue and how Isaac dealt with an issue. And I see it in my life of how I deal with things I struggle with may be a little bit different about how my dad dealt with it, and definitely different from how my grandfather dealt with it. So the big truth is this, that God's kingdom is coming, and God's kingdom comes generationally. We see it how Isaac dealt with his problem differently than his father did. And that's because the Spirit is rising up with us. You know, he doesn't have his father's struggle. God's kingdom is breaking in generation by generation. And the gospel connection is this. We see in the New Testament, we see Paul writing in Romans, how if we follow the Spirit, that we break the curse of generational sin. And we see it happen for the difference of how Abraham and Isaac dealt with their situations. And I've seen it in how things that my grandfather struggled with, and my dad struggled with, and what I've struggled with, and how we've dealt with them differently. And how some of that struggle has just been lessened. I don't deal with the same struggles my grandfather did. And it's just a blessing that when we follow the Spirit, we see that pathway open up for us. You know, I love the imagery of a shepherd and the sheep, right? Jesus described himself as a shepherd. And if the Holy Spirit is the Spirit of Jesus, he still shepherds us through his Holy Spirit. And when we connect with the Holy Spirit, we follow the shepherd through the trials of our life. He cuts that path for us. He protects us as we go through our journey. And it's such a beautiful picture to latch on to the Spirit of Jesus Christ and follow him through life, and just to truly be blessed by what God is doing generation after generation.